Good morning, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the best damn pod in the land. Thanks for taking some time today. I'm Chad Stryker. With me, as always, Dan Jivchak, and we are pumped. Guess what today is? Dan, tell.
It's Christmas morning. It's Christmas in April.
It is Christmas morning.
First
for us
day of
football
spring
fans.
practice. First day of spring practice. Ready to go.
We ready. Yeah, man. Oh, man. Twitter's buzzing. First practice is over. I think Coach Day comes on at noon Eastern for his presser. So, things are looking up in Buckeye land. And I was on meetings all morning. And so I was trying to follow along with everything that was going on. And one of our first question that we were going to talk about today was, what did you want to hear coming out of spring practice? So, Dan, I think we already got one of our wishes, man.
I mean, I think our lowest risk, highest probability is officially, out of the box. Sonny is at linebacker, so thank God. I do find it intriguing that when they did some team formation stuff, they said that it was Hicks and Simon at the –
That's right.
The ones and Sonny and Reese at the with the twos. A lot of chatter about Reese just looking like a man-child out there. So that's pretty
cool. Well, what was interesting to me about that is we had been hearing all the hype about Gabe Powers, and to hear that he's not running with the twos was interesting to me. But Sonny looks like the biggest linebacker in the room. I was watching the videos of him with the ball strip drill, and holy cow, man!
Yeah, there's
he's a man child.
There's some folks from PETA filing protests because he treated that pig poorly this morning with that ball drill. He was all over it. But I joked with you in text this morning that he's going to eat himself into being a defensive end if he keeps it up. I mean, and who knows, man? I mean, we've joked about it. We've talked about it. We've pondered it. He could end up being an edge guy in the NFL when it's all said and done, but it's just not where it's at this year. So, I'm excited for him to be there, excited for him to be close to the line of scrimmage. Super pumped. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm excited. It was something that, we had postulated, I think, a couple of weeks ago when we heard 3's talk about Sonny and maybe transitioning or going back and forth between the linebacker room and the safety room. And now we know, and it's the smart play.
Yeah, it's the worst kept secret, right? I mean, this has really been an assumption since before last season.
Yeah.
Right? That it was just inevitable once Tommy and Steele left and, we had some depth issues there. So, I can't wait to see him play. I can't wait to see him thump. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing him and Ransom and Downs come in and make a play on the edge and just kill somebody.
Yeah. Speaking of man children, did you see Will Howard standing next to the other quarterbacks?
Yeah, he looks like a grown man.
Yeah. Well, he looks like a fifth-year senior, let's be fair. He looks like a fifth-year senior, so he's big. And speaking of the quarterback room, the comment from Dan's favorite person, Devin Brown. We have to watch our language on our show because we are a family friendly show. But we'll preface that by saying there is a curse word in his statement. So
yes, there is, and not more so than the curse word, which I was there for. I loved it.
It was emphatic. It was emphatic.
Did you catch the side eye that he gave somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, it was shooting darts at somebody. And it was the point when he said, that's not who I am or who I've ever been or something along that line. And he was just side-eyeing whoever he said that to. I tell you what, man, I'm more excited about it. I know, I know most of Buckeye Nation is saying I'm being naive, but I don't think this is a laydown. There's some instances last year where some quarterbacks got some good money to go places and they didn't start.
Yeah.
Now, can you argue that it was at the same caliber of a Will Howard? I mean, what is the caliber of Will Howard?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You're good.
No, I was just going to add in that. Remember, Will Howard won a Big 12 championship with a not great Kansas State team and beat a playoff team the year before in the Big 12 title game, and he played his butt off.
Yeah.
But
listen, if he's the guy at the helm, I'm going to be excited. Don't get me wrong. You know where my heart is when it comes to Devin Brown. I just love the tenacity. I love the competitiveness. I love the fire. He's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been Berm or Landis in Snap Judgments, man. They were very, very complimentary of him this morning. They said that he looked better than he did at any point last year. He looked more settled. And they said Will Howard looked a little, and he said Will Howard looked a little jittery, which, quite frankly, should be expected.
Well, I'm as much as I love the podcast, I take everything they say with a grain of salt. Because if it's not Berm, I'm really careful, man. Just because I feel like Gene was in their ear a lot on a lot of things, especially NIL, and it kind of, I'm just going to be real, it kind of like put a little like divider for me on who and what I listen to. So if Berm doesn't tell me, and I've gotten to know Berm a little bit, if it doesn't come from him, I'm less inclined to believe it.
I've got to go back and watch the Snap Judgments. I think those comments about Brown actually came from Berm.
Oh, okay.
It definitely wasn't Austin Ward. We can do that without hearing the comments. We know he was not saying anything nice about Devin Brown at all.
Yes.
I think he's still clamoring for McCord and his daddy to come back and provide him with all the back channel intel that he was getting. Did I say that out loud? Are you going to edit that out?
Well, I mean, I think Austin was trying to get a job with Daddy McCord. That's what I think what he's trying to do. He's trying to get out of podcasting.
Yeah. Well, we can wish. Sorry, man. I'm just having fun. Friendly fire.
Yeah, we're just kidding.
Fire.
We're just kidding. Sort of.
Yeah. But, no, I'm excited. I know right now, I think Ryan's talking right now.
Okay.
And then Chip's going to be after him. And then I guess Knowles is going to be on Thursday. So I think I'm just as excited to hear the coaches talk, even though we know Ryan doesn't give us much of anything to go with. Chip Kelly does surprisingly have the reputation of being a straight shooter.
Yeah.
And kind of, saying what he's thinking. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Ryan can, wrangle him in a little bit. It does seem like Knowles.
Kelly looked like he was having fun this morning.
Sorry. He looked like a pig in poop. He was so fun.
He was just running around.
I mean, come on, man.
Hyping it up.
He's like, wait a minute. I don't have to go to a staff meeting or, an admin meeting after this. I don't have to go and meet with boosters. I don't have to go and meet with Kroger. I just get to draw up plays on my napkin in my bed at 3 a.m. He's going to have the best time of his life this year. And
he looked like he was he looked like a 20-year-old kid, man. He was out there and he had this like special handshake with Q and then he's running around hugging like bear hugging Tim Walton and they were harassing Caleb Downs. They looked like they were just having. I mean, it's the first day of spring practice, so it's easy to look like that on the first day of spring practice. But I'll tell you what, they looked like they were having a riot, and they looked loose, and that's good. They just look. They don't look like they're pressing. They're just having fun, man. Yeah,
you know what? I can't help but to think that has a little bit to do with the guys that are around now. I think, Matt Guerrieri is younger. Mm-hmm. Laurinaitis has got a reputation for being a jokester, but he knows when to turn it on and turn it off. Chip is, apparently really, really good with the kids. I mean, they're I don't even want to say it needs to be unspoken, but there is a definite confidence that these kids should be walking around with right now. Now, that could go one of two ways, right? They can either get really tight about it, and we'll see more when, the games roll around. I like the way our schedule plays out this year to lead up to that Oregon game.
Yeah.
And get, let these kids find their groove as a group. But, man, they're having fun out there for all intent. And, from everything we've heard, all the reports, they worked really, really hard in winter workouts and mat drills. And
yep.
A couple goofy videos got out, but, Those are things that people,
happen.
unless they've been there, they don't understand what's really going on with the team building and the mental toughness and the mental fortitude that they're looking for these kids to have in the winter drills. They should feel good about themselves right now.
I would say so. I think that everything looks, from what we can see, everybody looks okay. So
yeah. Now, with that being said, they should still feel awful about themselves with the way the season ended last year. So let's not forget about that.
Yeah, no, I haven't forgotten that. Somebody tweeted out a really cool video yesterday, and I retweeted it. It was a hype video, but it showed the ending of the Missouri game and the look on people's faces. And we back up, but man, you got to prove it now. Mm-hmm. You got to play the games. You got to win the games. So that's great. I like it. I think that I like to see him having fun, though, because I think part of my desire to see that was McCord yelling at halftime last year of the Michigan game, "Nobody make mistakes. No mistakes." You don't want to make mistakes, but like hyping it up like that, I don't know, man. And then he's throwing interceptions, so
we got to balance it, right? I mean, I want him to have fun, but you know what's fun is winning. Winning's fun.
Yes, winning's fun. Winning cures everything.
It's like that scene in Remember the Titans. No fun served. Zero fun served.
Zero fun, yeah. Winning is fun.
At this point in the season, they can have a little bit of fun, but they need to get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so other than the low-hanging fruit with Sonny, anything that jumped out at you? I kind of put out a tweet jokingly, and no one seemed to know that it was sarcasm about Hinzman being the first one to snap the football with the 1's. Okay, so it was sarcasm. I changed my tweet to add in, this is sarcasm, because Twitter doesn't have a sarcasm font. But not super surprised there that,
No.
But I did see some video of McLaughlin working with Will Howard, and so it's spring practice. It's the first day, 30 minutes, and the media only got 30 minutes. So make of that what you will. Yeah,
I didn't hear who. I know they had like the 1's go versus the 2's respectively, right? So they had the 1's on the O go against, not go against, but at least line up, and they got to see them line up. What that turned into, I don't know. But the one thing I didn't hear is who was taking the first snap. Was it DB or was it Will Howard? I haven't heard that.
So I saw the rotation with the quarterbacks, but in the very first throw I saw was from Devin Brown, but I did not see, and they weren't lined up in an offensive formation. These were just out throws, patterns.
Yeah, I saw the drills.
Yeah, so I'll have to go back and take a look at it, but it wouldn't shock me if, just because Devin Brown knows the offense, if he was taking the first team reps in the first practice.
Well, I told you the other day he would, and you wanted to ask me if I was willing to bet that. I'll let you know after the first snap how I feel about that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, so this is one of those things too, where we did bring in a 5th-year senior. So, are we, I know he's played a lot of football is all I'm saying. So, but yeah, DB probably, I underrated the fact of him knowing the offense, and I will openly admit that. And if you guys were wondering, this is a show by fans for fans. So we are just fans of the football team. We're not insiders or anything like that. We just, we like to talk football. No, I don't need to know all of what the inner workings of Ohio State, because I feel like it would just dampen my spirits for the football part of it. So
yeah. Well, I tell you what, I mean, Ryan is obviously on a mission. I would be utterly shocked if he gave 2 cares about how much money Will Howard was given and all that other kind of stuff. If Will Howard is off target and not accurate and making the wrong reads and turning the ball over, then he's going to be the highest paid backup in the country.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I mean, Chase Daniel made a career out of it. Good for him, right?
Yeah. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. All right. So we got this.
I'm excited though.
Oh, great, man. I am too. Like I'm so excited. Like I can't, I haven't been able to focus very much today, and that's usually that's one of my strong suits is like focusing on one thing at a time. So, you posed this question to me via our text thread, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. So, you said if we had to lose one starter to the portal after spring practice, who would I choose? And firstly, I would like to say, don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby? But I really. I had to sit down and like super duper think about this. And I'm sure that you're probably going to be like, what, why are you saying that? But I'm going to go with Davis and Igbinosun because Jermaine Matthews sits behind him.
Okay.
If I had to, if I had to, and somebody's going to come in and offer him $5 million to come be their number one corner, it's Davis and Igbinosun because you still have Hancock in the slot. You have Burke on the other side. Jermaine Matthews is ready. That room is deep. We play five safeties, 5 DBs. And as much as I love how physical and how tough and the SEC mentality that he's brought to the team, I feel like the secondary is in a good place now. But that's my. I really had to sit down and think about it. Because the other one would have probably blown your socks off. So
okay, so give that. First of all, I don't want to lose the dog in Igbinosun. I love the mentality that he brought to the team last year, and I think it's only going to be bigger this year.
Yeah.
The level of competition that appeared in that room when he showed up, I don't want to lose him. So who was the other one?
So my other one would have been Donovan Jackson.
Wow. All right.
I just feel like he regressed. Man. I think he's a great kid. He's a great kid. But I need to see a whole lot more than what I saw. And we can talk about how he played next to Simmons, who was new, and Hinzman, who was new.
I think it had more to do with that.
And I'm hoping he plays better. But I told you it would blow your socks off, man. Because I do think
off. It definitely was not something I was expecting.
Okay, because I think you could have Luke Montgomery slide right in there this year at guard, and you would be just fine.
Yep.
I'm not saying you'd be elite, but you'd be just fine.
Yeah, and that kind of goes in line with what mine was, and I had to think about it. You thought about it from a logical perspective.
Yeah, of course.
You're like depth. Okay, where would it least hurt us, no matter how good the person is?
Yeah,
and it's probably a fair assessment. I was leaning more towards a G. Scott. Now, rumor has it he didn't line up with the 1's this morning.
No, Patrick Gerd did.
No, Kazmarek did.
Yeah, it was Gerd and Kazmarek on the. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was Kazmarek. Yeah.
So, but I wasn't going to say G. Scott so that one of those two guys slid in there and played. I was going with G. Scott because I wanted to force the hand on Jelani Thurman. But I just don't think he's going to be an inline tight end, so it's probably irrelevant. My other was Josh Fryer, just because I'd like to force their hand on putting somebody young in there that, I'd like to see Montgomery at guard and Tegra at tackle, or vice versa. I don't care.
Yeah, well, that's the other reason I picked Donovan Jackson is then it would force you into utilizing Tegra Tashbola or Shabola and Luke Montgomery. So
yeah, my one that was way out there would have been Emeka.
Oh, Emeka.
What were you going to say?
I said JT Tuimoloau. So you get Kenyatta Jackson on the field. Or Caden Curry.
I'm still convinced that, Sawyer and JTT, I know he doesn't like JTT. You hear the phrase system quarterback all the time. These guys are system ends.
Yeah.
I'd love to see them turn loose, unlike last year. They let Jack kind of go at it, and look what happened.
Yeah, at the end of the year, Sawyer seemed like everybody said it seemed like the light bulb went off, and I would say it seems like they took the handcuffs off.
It's exactly what happened. That's all that it was, is that, these guys you look at the stat line, you look at sacks, you look at pressures. It's not what they're being asked to do.
No, it's contained. They're being asked to contain the edge.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to see them turn loose a little bit more this year. Maybe in year 3 of the Knowles system, him and Larry can break bread and get on the same page regarding a few things, and we can see that happen. But I don't know. Knowles seems to be the one that's, giving up his preference a little bit more with that right now.
Yeah, I get it. Absolutely. So, other news and notes out of this first 30 minutes of spring practice that you were interested in, or anything that caught your ear? I know you mentioned something about the right side of the offensive line that they talked about on the podcast, but I need to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, I was probably 2/3 of the way through on snap judgments. I got to go back and listen to. I think it was Montgomery at guard and Fryer at tackle, I want to say.
I was trying to scroll Twitter real quick while we were
what it sounded like
chatting.
But while you're doing that, I got to give my big brother a shout out for my Marvin Harrison jersey. It was a Christmas present this last year, and brought us bad luck against team up north, but I thought I'd break it out and give it a second chance.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. I love that. I love that color combo.
I love the grays. Yeah,
man. I hope they run it back. So that might be my second favorite ever, besides the black with the scarlet. And I know there's a lot of opinions about that, but I loved it for the blackout, that they did a few years ago. That was like 2014. It's been more than a few years ago. But anyways, so one of the things I wanted to ask you about, I saw where Quinshawn Junkins is going to be wearing number 1. Mm-hmm. And so I've been kind of cautiously paying attention to who might get the Block O jersey.
Yep.
And so Q gets number 1, and then Caleb Downs is wearing number 2. And to say those words, that Caleb Downs wearing number 2 as a Buckeye is glorious. And I literally may not make it till August. I might my head might explode. So, Blocko, thoughts?
I think the betting favorite right now is Jack Sawyer. I think it had, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that he appears to be the ringleader to, reload the clip.
That video did you watch the video of him after the Missouri game that recently got retweeted? Yeah, that's a good one. Jack Sawyer is good. Yeah,
I was actually going to suggest we open the show with that this morning, but I don't know if we're there yet technologically.
I can do it.
I know you can. I couldn't.
I'll make you do it.
And that's good. That's like whenever I would coach, I was a big fan of the, tell me, show me, make me do it, right? Part of coaching and training. So anyways, I digress. I think he's the betting favorite. I don't know if they always seem to, gravitate towards somebody that's overcome some form of adversity.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know who that would be on this team. I mean, Avery Henry, if he made a comeback, would be an obvious choice, even though he can't wear it in the game. Maybe a Cody Simon, just because of perseverance and sticking around. And, those are probably my 2. I'm probably missing somebody.
I would put a couple units on that. It's Emeka Egbuka. Wide receiver, typically, so you've gone from Cam Babb to Xavier Johnson. Emeka's back as a senior. Tends to be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first one we had was right out of the gate when they brought it back a few years ago. It was Thurman, right, on the O-line?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, wow.
He didn't get to wear it in the game, but
yeah,
he was the Block O guy that year.
That's a good call. That's a good call. Yeah. All right. Well, I could be wrong. I like the Jack Sawyer pick. If I got a vote, I don't get a vote. But if I had one, I feel like people that, pay for tickets and stuff should get a vote. But, I don't get to vote. Anyways, so yeah, that's great, man. And I'm excited too. I saw a quick clip of a couple handoffs to Quinshon Judkins and then Trey Henderson like back to back, and talk about speed, man. Speed. Ooh. So that's dangerous, man. If they can stay healthy, Will Howard's only going to need to throw for 10 yards a game. So
yeah. Well, as much as I love Trey, and as special as I think he is, and I do, Q is just different, man.
Mm-hmm. He's built different.
His feet at the line of scrimmage, and his ability to make people miss in a small space at the line of scrimmage is next level.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Trey might have a little bit more breakaway speed.
Yes.
But I think Q is more dynamic overall. It's a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah. So I got asked actually who I thought Quinshon Judkins reminded me of, and his jump cut and stuff. And this maybe you'll like this, maybe you won't. He reminds me of Nick Chubb. So he reminds me of his elusiveness in the hole, and then his ability to get downhill, and then yards after contact. So if you think, I was thinking back to when Georgia had Chubb and Sony Michel in the backfield. Yeah. Sony Michel would be more like your Travion Henderson, and Nick Chubb was, of course Chubb got hurt, but his that short little jump cut to find a crease, and he gets skinny at the line, and then he can run you over. That's the answer to your question, Jamie. So if you're listening, that's the answer to your question.
I think Q's still just a little bit more sudden than Chubb.
Yeah. Okay.
Like Chubb will make somebody miss, and you'll be like, "Whoa," right? Q makes some people miss, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
whoa."
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. I've got to pay. I'm gonna watch a little bit more film there and figure out who it is. He definitely has a familiar running style, so I'll come up with it.
Yeah, I that's why I don't know. His ability, like you talked about, close to the line of scrimmage to make people miss, and that short jump cut reminds me a little bit of Nick Chubb. But
yeah, if he's one,
I'm sure you'll find somebody better.
If he's 1-on-1 with a linebacker near the line of scrimmage, that linebacker's not touching him.
Yeah, you're not. He's going to lose every time.
Yeah,
unless it's Ray Lewis, but Ray Lewis is out of scholarships. So.
Yeah, I'd hate to see Q get stabbed though. Oh.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. All right. So we had some other topics. We were going to do like a Mount Rushmore of Ohio State football and some other stuff. I think we'll save it because I want to get your take on this because we're at the 30-minute mark of our show. So what do you make of all this Josh Gattis stuff and Michigan fans bugging him, and now he's saying, "Oh, I'm just going to spill the beans." So he has beans to spill? ?
Oh, he's got. I mean, that was juicy.
Oh, right.
That was juicy. Now, if I'm a betting man, I would bet that we never hear from him again.
Yeah.
And his bank account just got a couple more zeros in it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody from Michigan reached out and said, "You need to shut your mouth, and here's the money to make you do so."
Yeah.
Because
how much was Harbaugh's new contract?
I mean, you talk about being able to bring the world down. I mean, they've already turned on him. They've already assumed that he's the snitch. So they went from, I don't know if you saw the evolution of the Michigan mindset on Twitter after this, but it went from, here's what it went from. It went from, see, Ohio State cheats too because of these 4 minor level 3 violations that we self-reported, to we never really cheated. Everyone does it, to we're innocent, to, oh, Josh must be the one that snitched, which basically validates everything that they did wrong. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You snitched on us, but hold on. I thought you were innocent. What did he snitch on you about?
I'm still waiting for the RICO stuff, people to come arrest Ryan Day for RICO.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Somebody sent that to me on Twitter the other day. I was in a text message group. My buddies that I played hockey with in college that are all Michigan fans, and they sent me a screenshot of this Catalyst thing that got rejuvenated again the other day. I'm like, you guys are just horrible. Like,
yeah.
Well,
they're holding on for dear life because they haven't been relevant. They'd won half a national title in 140 years or whatever it was. So, I know it's less than that. I think their last outright was 1948, but, they're hanging on for dear life. And I understand. So,
here's what's interesting about the Gattis situation, right? Is, he specifically made reference to the NOA regarding recruiting.
That's what perked my interest.
Right. So he made reference to that. I'm sure the NCAA is talking to him now if they haven't already. But, that first play chart that floated around on the internet of Connor Stallions, that was from 2018. So I think the sign thing was going on way longer than we probably realize.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see if he knows anything about that.
Yeah, someone I have full confidence in and trust had it was Tony Gerdeman actually had done a little segment on Buckeye Huddle about it, and it might have been on the insider part, but basically saying that there's a belief that NOA is going to come towards the end of this month for the Connor Stallion stuff. So, and it was all based on like interview timelines and, how Ward Manuel said they're still like cooperating with them. And so there seems to be a belief, at least right now, that we may know something in the month of March, which would be so fast compared to Burgergate.
Well, they did pass, the NCAA passed legislation during the midst of all this that didn't really get well publicized, but they basically said that they passed a bylaw that said that they could effectively dole out preliminary punishment prior to an investigation being complete. Whereas now, you've got to go through the NOA, you got to give them 90 days to reply, and you got to go through that whole process. So they did pass that. I was a little surprised it didn't get more press than it did at the time, because it obviously was in a reaction to, this whole scandal. Like, they wanted to be able to punish Harbaugh. Here's the deal. If they could have punished him, I think they'd have been out of the playoff.
Yeah.
But because of the way the current system is set up with the NOA and then the 90 days to reply, keep in mind, they're smack dab in the middle of their 90 days for the first NOA.
Yeah.
Regarding the COVID recruiting. So Michigan hasn't even replied to that yet.
Yeah. Isn't there a level 1 in that too?
It is a level 1.
Yeah.
It is a level 1. And the biggest thing is the lying.
Yeah.
The NCAA, it's almost like they're more concerned with the lying than they are with the actual violation.
Yeah. So I think that one thing I would say is I don't go to bed at night worrying about what is going to happen to Michigan. What happened last year happened, like they won, whether we like it or not. Whatever happens or comes of this, I think we just want to know. For me personally, I just want to know, like, what, is all of this actually true? Is there stuff that isn't true? What's been correctly reported and not correctly reported? This isn't a Michigan show or a Michigan podcast. I noticed the Josh Gattis thing and I thought, ooh, that sounds very real. And it wasn't, and it came directly from him. So I wanted to touch on it. I know that, like, I don't want to be one of those people that obsesses about Michigan, because I think they're headed towards a rough season just because of the way their schedule's laid out, and the amount of talent that they've lost, and the coaching churn. When we do our breakdown of the big 16 or 18 we are now of what we think each school's record will be, and I'm calling it now for Rutgers to win 10 games. I think we can break that all apart, but Michigan got handed a not friendly schedule.
Yeah, no, it's not, and I'm a little surprised at some of the prediction I'm seeing. With them being only 2 or 3 losses I think once they lose that first game, especially if it's a game that they shouldn't, I think things are going to spiral out of control. I think their depth is going to get exposed big time on the offensive side of the ball. I think their defense is still going to be solid, but I see them with 4 or 5 losses.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I don't know about 5, but it could happen. You can lose one you're not supposed to very easily, as we all know. Yeah. 2015 Michigan State. So, still, I wish I could run into that kicker. I just punch it, but yeah. I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I
mean, you got to assume they're at 2 right off the bat, right? I don't think they beat Texas. I don't care what.
No. I think Texas is,
and they're not beating us this year, right? So, I think the other popular loss that people are handing out to them is are they playing Oregon?
I think they do. Yeah, I think I sent you the schedule or tweeted you the schedule.
But I can, they also play SC, and it's early enough in the year where, who knows? I mean, I think SC's defense is going to be greatly improved just based on the coaching hires that they've made. I can also see Maryland and Rutgers giving them fits. I know I'm pretty sure Rutgers is on their schedule, right?
I think so. All right. So they've got Fresno State, Texas, Arkansas State, USC, Minnesota at Washington, at Illinois, Sparty, Oregon, at Indiana, Northwestern, and at Columbus.
All right, maybe I don't know, maybe 3, 4.
Yeah. Well, let's say Texas and Oregon right off the bat, and then you have to play USC and us. And
Washington. At Washington.
At Washington.
Now, granted, I know Washington's, they've lost a lot, but I mean, I really like the coach that they got. He came from my alma mater, Arizona, and he did a really nice job of that program. He didn't get the receiver and quarterback to leave with them, so they might have a little bit of a setback, but he's a good coach.
And that's a vindication game too, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And you got to go play there. Different time zones, 3 hours difference. It'll probably be a night game.
I mean, I know this is going to sound crazy, but watch out for Fresno State. First game of the year.
They're sneaky. They're sneaky.
Texas on deck.
Yeah.
Their new offensive line, new quarterback, new running backs, except for Donovan Edwards. I mean, watch out for Fresno State.
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago San Diego State came into the horseshoe and gave Ohio State fits for a half.
Yep.
So, when our defense was trash. So they carried Combs era. Yeah. All right. Well, any final words, man? We're up on 40 minutes. I'll get everybody out of here.
I'm excited to listen to the interviews with Ryan and especially Chip, and then, get some more feedback. Schedule's a little bit of a tease where they got these 2 practices this week, mainly in shells, and then they're on spring break next week, and then they come back and it gets serious. So
it happened last year too. When I was I just started getting excited about spring ball, and then boom, they're on spring break. So
yeah, but I mean they got some good recruits coming in this week, and then I think the end of March is the big weekend. A lot of local and regional guys coming in this week. Yeah, man, I'm just pumped up. It's
sweet.
It's fun. I remember when college football used to go from August to December.
That's about right. Now it's year long, man. Now it's year
round.
Yeah. Then spring practice ends, and we'll have that late transfer portal window too to keep an eye on. So
we'll see what happens.
Never ending, and then you round that out, and then June camp starts. So, wow, we're in the thick of it now.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
don't forget to like and subscribe and share and tell all your friends about us. We really appreciate the listener feedback and involvement.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, we have some great folks, man. I love it. Like, we have some really I'll call them like hardy listeners, because they never miss a show, and they're always giving us positive feedback. And so thank you for that. And yeah, like Dan said, if you could hit the subscribe button, like button, that's even better on YouTube. So, for me, I'll be kind of keeping an eye on, the Twitter world and what's going on at spring practice for the next couple of days. We'll have our Buckeye Friday as always, and we can probably round out the first 2 days of spring practice on Friday for you, let you know what we think, where we think things will land. Dan will tell you that Devin Brown's the starting quarterback, and everybody will be up in arms. So you guys have a great day, great rest of your week. Appreciate you all. Have a good, safe, and enjoy the weather. If you're in Ohio, it's been great. Thanks, and as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.